Hello everybody, Shinjo here, welcome back to the channel, and a tier list of Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. I've already done one for Duel Monsters and GX, and this is absolutely in my wheelhouse. I love 5Ds, I don't think it's that much of a secret on this channel, so I'm excited to get into this. There's probably another tier list that would have more characters, but if I do that, it's more forgettable characters in my opinion, so I'm just not even going to acknowledge any other tier list. So I'm going to save the signers for the very end because I feel like that's fitting. So all of Team Unicorn, there's one of them. I think these are the three. Actually, he is one of the ones that use one of the Nordics, I believe. I think he is? Oh no, it's him. It's him. Okay. I believe that is Team Unicorn. Yeah, I think that's right. Legitimately, I don't remember them. I just remember that they play Playful Possum, and that's really good when you run Green Baboon in your deck, so works well for me, because I got a Green Baboon in one of my decks. And while I'm at it, let's rank... Actually, the ones that use the Nordics, I like them better. And I think these are the three? Yeah, they are. Fortunately for me, that's like the only other group that's here. And I legitimately couldn't tell which one was which at first. But I like the Nordics because they kind of have like a rivalry with the signers, I think, or something to that effect. They're neat. Again, both teams just didn't get much screen time. And I'm gonna save some of the villains for later. Greiger's cool. Unfortunately, I feel like him becoming a dark signer in the second part of the show was like how Go and Izuka kind of turned in the second half of Reigns, which is a bit of foreshadowing for that. Although Greiger didn't really do it on his own choice, but still, it just kind of soured his character in a bit for me. This one's Divac. I honestly don't really care. I mean, I like Earthbound Immortal Kusulu. That's really all I can say about it. Are the other Dark Signers here? There's Rudger. Or Roman. I can't remember the names. Yeah, I'll put him right there. I legitimately can't remember. And I guess we're counting this as Dark Signer Kaling as well. And then Misty, and then I saw Carly somewhere. Yeah, okay. And Goblin. Goodwin. Yeah, sure. So let's tackle the Dark Signers while I'm here. Legitimately, I think Callan is an A-tier character. I'm not entirely sure if Callan... Well, actually, in hindsight, Callan feeling remorse afterwards does kind of work. It kind of gives me vibes of Zane from Season 3 to Season 4 of GX, where he just magically comes back with no explanation. But 5D's, a bunch of weird stuff happens already, so that's just kind of normal. Misty is gonna go in B tier. I think I'll put her above because she's a female antagonist that actually does something. Although antagonist is a bit of a loose word for describing her, because she only dueled 2 or 3 times, I believe, and all against Akiza. I think it would have been better if she would have dueled someone like Sayer, considering the plot of the story, but that's regardless. And now let's talk about Carly. If it was... I don't know how to explain this. If it was just my own personal bias, not considering the plot of 5D's, I might put Carly in S tier. But as Carly stands, she's gonna go in C tier. I do like her above the 2 Dark Signers, but that's not by much. Carly was a fine character at first. She was a bit goofy. I liked her relationship with Jack. She turned into a Dark Signer. That whole plot was really good. But at the same time, after the Dark Signer arc, they just kind of reset her. And that just still leaves a bad taste in my mouth. As for Rex, he's gonna go A tier. I like Rex. you can make comparisons to characters like Darts and Professor Viper in GX where they didn't do much, but I feel like his whole controlling everything in Domino City worked out well because he was more a big threat. And another villain, if you could even call him that, Lawton, they used the Gatlin Ogres. Really, the Ogre is the only reason I remember him. And let me hit some of these minor characters while I'm at it. I can't think of what her name is. The landlord where Yusei, Jack, and Crow live. I didn't really care for her character. There was some development with her son that uses Time Wizard, but that's about it. The whole joke of her not liking anything about Crow, and then Yusei saying the exact same thing and it being totally different did get old very quickly. What's his name? Bolt Tanner? He'll go C tier, I guess. Along with Yanagi, I feel like those two characters worked off well with each other, and Tanner being sort of a pseudo rival to Yusei early on worked, even if he didn't really do much later on. Martha is probably gonna go around C, B tier as well. I think putting her there as well as Mina. Actually, I'll put Mina right next to Carly because there's that whole love triangle they were trying to establish with Carly, Mina, and Jack, and the random cafe girl as well that just was kind of stupid in my opinion. But Mina and Martha, they didn't really do anything wrong. They were just there. I like Martha's moments where she gave Yusei wisdom. That was really cool. I guess we'll go on to Yusei's father now. I don't really remember much about him besides like the big plot of the show, but he gave birth to Yusei, so I think that alone puts him in B tier. Well, I mean, he didn't actually, but you get what I'm saying. I guess a lot of these, well, Lazar's probably gonna go like right in the middle of the list. Lazar's not supposed to be a serious character, even though Crow thought Lazar was a dark signer. But Lazar is more a joke character, and in my opinion, it's a sort of joke where it doesn't really fade. Like, Lazar is a goofy character, but all the stuff that happens with Lazar weirdly makes sense, and Lazar's a nice breath of fresh air with all the darker tones going on in 5D's, in my opinion. Bruno is going to go absolutely S tier. I'm counting Bruno and Antinomy because they only have one spot here. Aporia, you know what? I think, just to be fair, because it's been a while since I've seen the plot with the Mech Lord Emperors and everything, I'm just going to put all of them in A tier. Because where there's a character like Zone that only dueled one time, and then Jacob, who was supposed to be more the, well, I guess Prima was the more stern one, but Jacob was more serious as well. But then you have characters like Lester, who I actually like the most out of all of them, just because the voice in the dub works really well, and he's more of a comic relief compared to the other ones. I don't really remember much about them, so averaging out, I feel like A makes sense. They were a fine final boss for 5D's, even considering their background. Trudge, I think Trudge is going to go right next to Mina as well, because they were always palling around together, and I think there was a plot that hinted at them getting together or something like that. I don't really remember. Romance in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is weird in general. Sherry, if they would have done more with Sherry, then I might put Sherry higher. But at the moment, Sherry's just going to go in C tier. Sayer. I have to rank Sayer because he's the only one here that's not a signer. Oh, Sayer. He was quite literally a scumbag. But he was a fun scumbag, to put it weirdly. He was a character that really should have been a final antagonist, but he never was. So putting him in the middle of the list is fine. I just wish they would have done more with Sayer as a whole. Let me tackle the kids next. Leo and Luna. I think Leo and Luna are gonna go B tier, with Leo going above Luna. I like both of them. Realistically, I could probably put them at the same level because they're two halves of one character in my mind. I wish Luna would have actually got a legitimate win on her own, because the only time that they won a duel, they teamed up to fight Divac, and then they teamed up with Jack to fight Aporia, I think it was? I do like Leo's transformation to becoming a signer at the end of the show, even if it wasn't dubbed. But I just like Leo's cards in general. The Morphtronics are really fun, especially when you have cards like Morphtronic Map to help out, and the new support that came out with it. But in my mind, those two, alongside Akiza, are quite frankly the B team for Team 5D's. When it comes to the big final showdown for the Dark Signers arc, it's Yusei, Jack, and Crow fighting them. When it comes to the WRGP at the later part of the show, most duels, it's Yusei, Jack, and Crow. Unfortunately, Leo, Luna, and Akiza are just left on the backseat. Akiza did get some development with learning how to ride a motorcycle and helping them, but her development started off really good and just kind of plateaued, in my opinion. I wish they would have done more with her, especially with Sayer, but they just never did. But as for the final three, I'll go with Crow first, because I think Crow's a very low A tier. He's fine. He's a character that give me vibes of characters like Jesse Anderson in GX and Soulburner in Vrains, where it's a character that they throw in the later half of the show, becomes a main character either by force or by the writers forcing them on them, and has a really popular deck that everybody loves. Blackwings are fun. I just feel like Crow's a bit too overhyped in my opinion. He's fine, but it just feels like they just kind of shoehorned him in. Especially if the rumors about Crow being a Dark Signer were true, that makes me feel a little bit weird. And Yusei is gonna go a very, very, very high A tier. He's fine. In hindsight, I don't think he's my favorite protagonist. He's definitely top 4, maybe even top 3. But I feel like Yusei not losing duels hurt him, in my opinion. Not that winning or losing duels necessarily matters, but with someone like Yusei and later on Playmaker, I feel like they should have lost some duels to learn from that and develop. And that leads me to the best character in 5D's, Jack Atlas. There was no way I wasn't going to put Jack at the very top. I love Jack. I'm sure there are people that cringe when any dub VA tries to do a British accent. I can get that, but it doesn't really bother me for Jack. Jack's just a really fun character. Red Dragon is easily my favorite signer dragon. He's getting a structured deck, so Jack is clearly popular. I just love everything about Jack. And the best part, he loses duels, because that gives him development. Even though most of his losses were to Yusei, but we're gonna forget about that. That is my tier list for 5Ds. It was honestly really hard, and a lot of this I was doing on the fly. But regardless, I hope you enjoyed, and if you enjoyed, hit that like button down below, subscribe if you haven't, and I'll see you next time. Momentai!